The clock strikes midnight and the veil between the known and the unknown grows thin. Welcome to Midnight Terrors, where the horrifying and the unimaginable collide. Tonight, fear isn't just a feeling, it's your only companion. Are you ready to step into the darkness? Let's begin. Have you ever woken up gasping for air, heart racing from a dream where you died? Or worse, watched someone you love disappear into the darkness? Imagine a scream in the distance. Dreams about death are unsettling. Some say they're just random noise from the mind. Others believe they are warnings or messages, maybe even visits. There exists an ancient journal, so drenched in darkness it was sealed away by the church, not to protect it, but to protect us. Other copies were burned, their ashes buried in sanctified ground, but one survived, and those who dared to read its pages didn't sleep again. They whispered of dreams that clawed into their minds, dreams that bled into waking life until madness took them. Let me tell you about Emily. She was 29, vibrant, grounded, never one to believe in signs or superstition, until the dreams began. Night after night, the same vision. She stood barefoot at the edge of a jagged cliff, clutching a child she'd never seen before. Below her, an ocean of pale, rotting hands writhed and reached upward, whispering in voices not meant for the living. And every night, she jumped. Not because she wanted to, but because something pulled her. Emily wrote down her dreams. She begged her friends to read them. She said something was coming. 3 weeks later, she died in a car crash. Witnesses said her vehicle veered off a cliff. The child in her dream? Her unborn niece, born exactly 40 days after her death. Coincidence? Or something else? Not every death in a dream means you're going to die. At least, not in the way you think. Psychologists say these dreams are shadows of our deepest fractures, echoes of fears we bury, transformations we resist. When death visits us in sleep, it might mean change. A version of you is withering away. Loss, mourning something you haven't dared to confront. Escape, the silent scream to flee a waking life that feels like a cage. Transition, the tearing of old skin to reveal something unfamiliar beneath. But here's the question no one wants to ask. What if it's not just symbolism? What if it's not your mind speaking, but something else? Something that knows your cracks, your wounds, and slips through them. Some dreams don't feel symbolic at all. They feel invasive, as if something is watching from the dark, whispering truths you were never meant to hear. We asked our viewers to share their death dreams. Most were eerie, a few were disturbing, but three were something else. They didn't feel like dreams at all. They felt like invitations. Story 1, The Drowned Girl. He never knew her name. For 23 nights she appeared, soaked, silent, trembling in a bathtub that filled itself without a sound. Her eyes were always open, dead but watching. At first, he thought it was just stress. Then the dreams became louder, water dripping from his ceiling in the middle of the night. Footsteps echoing from the bathroom even when he was wide awake. On the 24th night, she finally spoke. Her voice came out like a gurgle through waterlogged lungs. "You're next." He jolted awake, gasping, lungs burning, mouth full of water that wasn't there. His floor was bone dry, his pipes untouched. The next morning, he turned on the news. A girl, early 20s, drowned in the apartment directly above his, alone in her bathtub. Time of death, 2:37 a.m. The exact moment he woke up choking. Story 2, The Funeral That Didn't Happen. She never believed in omens until her own death kept repeating. Night after night, she walked among rows of black-clad mourners, faces blurred, eyes hollow. She stood beside a closed casket, listening to sobs that sounded almost rehearsed. But one thing never changed. Her husband. He was always missing. And somewhere in the dream, a voice, cold, familiar, would whisper, "He doesn't mourn what he planned." She started waking with nosebleeds, numbness in her arms, fatigue that doctors couldn't explain. Then, one night, she found his laptop open. A web browser full of research, poisons that leave no trace. How much insurance for accidental death? When confronted, he smiled and said, "You shouldn't have looked in the dream." Story 3, The Mirror Man. He was 17 when the mirror stopped showing his reflection. Not at first, not fully, but something was off. A lag, a flicker. Then one night, he watched as his reflection moved before he did, smiled wider, and slowly slit its own throat. Blood poured down the glass, but never touched him. Every night after, the same thing, a ritual, a performance. The reflection died again and again, always with that grin, as if it enjoyed it. And each time the boy would wake with a splitting headache, nausea, vertigo. He stopped looking in mirrors altogether, until the seizure came. In the hospital, a scan revealed a tumor lodged deep in his brain, pressing against the part that governs identity and perception. The doctors said it was a miracle they caught it in time, but he wasn't sure it was the doctors who caught it. Before surgery, as he lay in the sterile operating room, someone wheeled in a mirror by mistake. He looked into it, and this time the mirror man didn't die. He just waved. In some cultures, death dreams are sacred. In Mexican folklore, they're seen as visits from ancestors. In Chinese tradition, dreaming of death can signify good fortune or renewal. In ancient Egypt, death dreams were believed to be direct communication from the gods. But across all beliefs, one theme remains. Death dreams are not meaningless. They demand your attention. Your subconscious doesn't speak in words, it speaks in symbols. When you dream of a funeral, you may be mourning something emotionally. Your own death, you might be evolving, changing identity. Someone else's death, are you letting go of a relationship, or do you feel guilt? The feeling during the dream matters. Were you afraid, peaceful, confused? Your emotions are the true translation. What if death dreams are not a warning, but an invitation to change, to shed your skin, to become who you're meant to be? Some who've had recurring death dreams say they finally listened and made massive changes, left toxic jobs, ended abusive relationships, faced long-ignored traumas. Dreams are your subconscious begging you to hear it, but ignore them, and they might get louder, stranger, darker. So the next time you wake from a death dream, don't be afraid. Write it down, feel what it meant, explore it. This is your mind, and maybe more than your mind, trying to guide you. Dreams don't lie, but they do hide. Are you brave enough to see what they're hiding from you? If you've ever had a dream about death, share it in the comments below. Let others know they're not alone. And remember, dreams are not always nightmares. Sometimes they're the first step toward understanding your soul. Until next time, sleep well. And don't forget to listen when death comes knocking in your dreams.